By the end of this video, you should be able to write a simple JavaScript web program that will help students calculate the area of a circle. We could as well use Java, C++, Python, or any other programming language to achieve this. But in this video, I will use the JavaScript prompt and alert functions rather than the console. Let's look at what we want to achieve in this video. A student will open up our web browser and will be prompted to enter the radius of a desired circle in meters, instructing us of what we are going to do, expecting us to enter a desired value, and we're going to click the OK button to complete the calculation for the area of the circle. Next, we're going to click the OK button. Next, we're going to get another pop-up window. You entered a radius of 2.3 meters, expecting us to click the OK button to calculate the area of the circle. Next, we're going to click this OK button, and we just got another pop-up window. Here we have the area of a circle with radius, whatever radius value we enter, meters, is we are going to get our answer in squared meters. Next, we're going to click this OK button. Here we just got another pop-up window. Thanks for using our math website. Next, I will click the OK button, and here we just got another message on the screen. And this message is, welcome to the Kelvin Academy Mathematics Programming class. We are going to write a short program that will help us achieve this. Before we start writing our program, I want you to recap that the area of a circle is pi r squared. Pi is a long irrational number, and JavaScript internal function in our computer got the value already, so we just will call it up in our program with math.py, and it's a constant. Also, to calculate the radius, we can use a JavaScript function known as math.pow, and inside the bracket we are going to enter r, 2, close the bracket. With this internal JavaScript function, we can multiply these two, and we are going to get our area. To start writing our program, step number 1, create a folder on your computer. We can create this folder on any drive or even on the desktop. Let me create a folder on the desktop. I will right click, new, and create a folder. I'm going to call this JavaScript circle area. I'll press enter. Next, from the start menu, I will type notepad. I will press enter. Next, from the menu format, I will go to font. I can increase the font size so that you see what I'm actually typing. Next, I will use less than and greater than symbols on the keyboard. Inside, I will type exclamation mark, doc type, space, HTML. I'll press enter to go to a new line. Before we continue, let me explain this line of code. Doc type HTML is a declaration that tells the browser what version of HTML the document or code is written in. This comes as the very first line in an HTML file. We have doc type syntax for HTML5 and beyond. We also have doc type syntax for strict HTML 4.01. We also have doc type syntax for transitional HTML 4.01. We also have doc type syntax for frameset HTML 4.01. This line of code would ensure that websites would render well across browsers. Next, on the second line, I will type open and close less than and greater than symbol. Inside, I will type HTML space. I will type lang equal. I will open the double quotes, and inside I will type en for English. Next, I will close the HTML tag. All my code will be written between these two tags. The lang equal en attribute helps define the language of an element. Here, en is for English. Next, I will now have another tag here. This time around, this will be the head, and I will close the head. Next, after the head, I will also have another tag. But this time around, this will be the body, and I will close the body. This will be the head of our HTML codes, and this will be the body of our HTML codes. Next, inside the head, we're going to have our title. Hence, I will open the title and I will close the title. You can see that any tag that I open must be closed. In between the open and the close tags for the title, I will enter the title of the website. Here, I want to calculate area of a circle. But before I continue writing my code, we are going to save our work. I will click File. I will click Save As. Next, I will go and locate the folder that I created on the desktop, and the name of that file is JavaScript circle area. I will double click it open. Now I am inside the folder. Next, I will save it with a name. Let's call this circle area .html. You must save it with .html, else the code will not work. Next, I will click Save. But before I click Save, I want to say that this name can be any name. Just save it with whatever you desire, but you must end it with .html. Next, I will click Save. You can see inside this folder, JavaScript circle area, we have this file, circle area, and you can see the symbol very close to the file is a symbol of a web browser. Next, we got the head here, and this is the closed head. Inside the head, we're going to have another tag. This time around is going to be script for JavaScript, and we're going to close the script. The JavaScript will be written in between the script inside the head of the HTML. Next, inside the script, I will start by declaring our radius and area. I will start by using var, then radius, semicolon. Next, var, and this time around area, semicolon. I've declared two variables. These are containers that will allow us to collect the radius and finally collect the answer after we have calculated the area with the formula. Next, after we have declared our containers with var, next we're going to use this container to collect the value for the radius. We're going to have radius is equal for a JavaScript prompt box. We're going to use window dot prompt, then open and close bracket, semicolon. Inside the brackets and inside the quotation marks, I will write an instruction for the student to enter the radius of the circle in meters. I will say enter the radius of the circle in meters. Anything I put in between these strings, JavaScript will read this as just ordinary text and not numbers. Next, after this line of string, I will put comma, then I will put 0. This 0 will enable the person to know that a number has to be entered here. You see, I left a little space here to accommodate this number. Next, we're going to click File and Save. Next, I will open the folder where I saved the file. Next, I will right click. Next, I will go to Open With. I can choose any browser of my choice from this menu. Let me use the first one, Google Chrome. You can use Internet Explorer or any browser of your choice that you have in your computer. I will click, and you can see we have this. Enter the radius of the circle in meters. We achieve this using prompt, that is window.prompt. If you decide to remove this window from the code, it will still work. I will click File and Save. Next, I want JavaScript in this box to receive both integers and decimals. For me to achieve this, I will put everything here in brackets. You see, I have a bracket here and also I have a bracket here before the semicolon. Then I will use pass float. If I use pass int here, JavaScript will prompt you to enter only integers here without decimal. However, if I use pass float, I can enter both decimals and integers in this box. Whatever JavaScript collect from here, any number you enter will be passed to radius. Next, the student will enter a value and radius will collect it. Next, area will be calculated. And for us to calculate the area of this circle, I'm going to declare a function. Here, the function, let's call it calculate circle area. Because it is a function, I will have open and close bracket in front of it, then semicolon. Next, I will write a code for this function. Let me create a space here. I will call it function space. It must be exactly this same name. Hence, I will copy this and I will paste this here. Next, I'll open two curly brackets like this. And inside here, we're going to perform the action for calculating the area of this circle. But inside this function, we need to put what we want to use in this calculation. Here we are going to use the radius entered in this box. This function will take the value of this radius, everything back to this workshop, but somebody have to be here to collect the radius. We can maintain the same variable we declared here to perform all the actions. This has now been collected and moved to this function. Next, we're going to calculate the area of the circle. We're going to say math.pi. Math.pi is a constant already existing in JavaScript, which will help me with the value of pi. Next, I have this r squared. Next, I will type Shift 8 on the keyboard. JavaScript use this to symbolize multiplication. Next, I can type radius, Shift 8, radius, semicolon. This will help me to calculate pi r squared. R squared is r times r. I can decide not to use this. I will use JavaScript internal power, which is math.pow, and open bracket. I'm going to have the radius, comma, raised to the power of 2. I can raise it to the power of 3. I can raise it to the power of 4. I can raise it to the power of 5, and so on. Here is just to the power of 2. I will close this bracket. Then I don't need this anymore. Next, I'm going to type return here to instruct this function to send the value back to where it was called, which is here. That means if this function is returning back, it's going to return with an answer, and it's going to pass that answer to this, and that answer will be passed to area. This is how function works in programming. That means when this box popped up, a value was entered. This value was passed to radius. This value of radius, let me assume 2.5. Here we're going to have 2.5. This function will take 2.5 back to this function area and perform calculation for the area of the circle using this radius. Return is instructing this function to send back the answer it obtained, and this answer will be sent back here. The value of the calculation will be stored in area. Next, the answer is in this box. This is a space in memory, and this area got a value, but we cannot see it. Let's instruct the computer to show us what is inside this box, inside this variable. We're going to use window.alert, open and close bracket, semicolon. I can decide to do without this window. It will still work. Here, I will now have a string of code. I will say area is, now I want to join this with a plus, then area. You see, here I say area is, this is a variable, and this is a string. To join a string and a calculation, I will use this concatenation character in JavaScript, which is plus. I can say area of the circle with, I can remove this is, I can say with plus radius. I will say plus, here I will use string, meters is, that is, I will have a alert box that says area of the circle with, is going to give me the radius that I entered earlier. Let me say 2. Then I will just say meters is, here I will get the calculated answer from here. To see what we have done, we're going to click File and Save. Next, I will open up the folder where I've saved the file. I will right click, open with this browser. Here I have enter the radius of the circle in meters, which we actually typed as string inside the prompt function. Next, let's enter something like 2.5. Next, I will click OK button. Next, we have a new box. The area of the circle with 2.5 meters is, here we have a very long string of numbers, which is 19.63495408493628. Let's try to reduce this answer to 2 decimal places using a JavaScript code. Next, before we pass this area, which has been calculated, to this alert box, let's create a space here, and I will type area is, let's format the area by using area dot to precision, and here we are going to have a semicolon at the end, and inside this argument, let me use 4. 4 means to 4 significant figures. To precision deals with significant figures. To understand your significant figures in mathematics, I will leave a link at the description. Next, after this answer, JavaScript will now format this to 4 significant figures and pass it to this area. And this area will be in 4 significant figures. Next, let's click File and save our work. Next, we're going to refresh our browser. I'm going to refresh the browser, or I will click and press enter. We have enter the radius of the circle in meters. Before I will click the OK button, I have to enter the value of the radius. Here, let me enter 2.5, which we entered earlier. Next, I'll click the OK button. Next, we got a new box with our answer. Here we have area of the circle with 2.5 meters is this, 19.63, to 4 significant figures. The unit of this area is not here. Hence, we are going to put a unit for the circle. Hence, in our code, after we might have formatted our answer, we are going to have our answer here. Next, I'm going to put a plus here, which is our concatenation character. I'm going to put a string, and inside this string, I'll press the space bar. I will type squared meters. Here, I'm going to have an alert box that says the area of the circle with any radius we enter in meters is, this area is a variable. We're going to have a concatenation character, and we're going to have the area squared meters. Let's click File and Save. Next, we're going to refresh our browser. Next, I will see enter 2.5 meters. Click the OK button. You can see here we have area of the circle with 2.5 meters is 19.63 squared meters. If I click this OK button now, you see this is now our web browser. But we did not write anything in the body to actually show us some other things the student would want to see on the website. Next, inside the body of our HTML, which is this, is empty. Let us type welcome to the Kelvin Academy Mathematics Programming class. This message is inside the body and has nothing to do with the JavaScript. The JavaScript started here inside the head and ended here before the closure of the head. The body is outside the head and the JavaScript. This does not require a semicolon. Next, I'm going to save this. Next, I'm going to refresh the browser. Let me enter 2.5. This time around, let me enter something else, 2.1. I will click OK. You can see I have an answer to 2 decimal places and 4 significant figures. Next, I will click this OK button. If I click this OK button, I'm going to get a message here, which is a message from the body of the HTML. The browser will read this first, then read the HTML. As the browser is coming down, it will read the head, then the title, and the browser will encounter script. The first line of code after the script is a function. However, the browser doesn't know what to do with this function. The browser will bypass this. The browser will encounter a declaration. With this var, the browser knows exactly what these are. These are simply containers that will be used in the program. Next, the browser will encounter a prompt box. This box is prompting the student to enter the radius of the circle. If this student enter a value for the radius of the circle, this value will pass to radius. Next, this radius will be passed to a function called calculate circle area. This name can change to anything. I use this name to remind me that, well, it's going to be a function that will calculate the area of the circle. Hence, this will take this value back to its home to perform a calculation. Return will send the answer back to where it was called. But this time around, it's going to return with an answer. That answer will be passed to area. Area will be formatted to 4 significant figures and is going to be passed back to area. This area will now be displayed here to 4 significant figures, and the computer will come here to see that the JavaScript has ended, and is going to bypass the head to continue into the body. And next is going to see a message, welcome to the Kelvin Academy Mathematics Programming class. And this was what we saw in the body. You can decide to now use the HTML tags to change this body. Here I want to use H1 for the heading, and whatever I open must be closed. I can also decide to make this to be at the center. That means I will also close this center. The H1 is at the beginning, hence the H1 must be at the end. Next, I will click File and Save. Next, I will go back to the browser and refresh. Here, let me enter 1.8 meters. I press enter and I have the area of the circle with 1.8 meters is 10.18 squared meters. Next, I will click the OK button. If I click this OK button, you can see I have Welcome to the Kelvin Academy Mathematics programming class. This was formatted with H1 for the heading and it was centralized. You can see that this line of code did not display until everything in the head was completed. You can see that HTML codes read from the top to the bottom. After displaying our answer, I can decide to put another line of code here with alert, or instead of using alert this time around, let me use confirm. Window.confirm, then semicolon. Always end your codes with semicolon. If you miss a semicolon, JavaScript at times will not run the code. Here I will now put I can confirm that you used our site today. This was before the end of the JavaScript. I will click File and Save. Next, in the browser, I will refresh. Now, let me enter 3.4 meters. I will press Enter. You can see the area of the circle with 3.4 meters is 36.32 squared meters. Next, I will click the OK button. You can see I got a confirmation box that reads, I can confirm that you used our site today. Next, I will click the OK button. Now, remember, this is the last line of code before the end of the script. If I click the OK button, it will jump into the body of the program. Now we have this. If I've designed other things on this website, you're going to see them here. This is a short HTML code that will help you to calculate the area of a circle. We are going to be looking at other programming languages as well as these web development videos. I believe this was helpful. Don't forget to click the like button and also subscribe for more videos like this. I will see you in the next one.